Look at that right now. We're going to see where his other senses are kicking in. Because again, he can't see, so his senses are kicking in. All right? So let's pick up verse 14. Let's go through, let's say 14 through 24. Who wants that?
I'll take it.
All right.
So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food, just the way his father liked it. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her older son, which she had in the house, and put them on her younger son Jacob. She also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck with the goat skins. Then she handed to her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made. He went to his father and said, "My father." "Yes, my son," he answered. "Who is it?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing." Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord your God gave me success," he replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not." Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau, so he proceeded to bless him. "Are you really my son Esau?" he asked. "I am," he replied.
Okay. So now we're starting to see the deceit, and we're starting to see kind of the persuasion that his mom kind of put into his head and led him into. So he disguised himself. So he walks in the tent, hears Jacob's voice. Said, "Hold up, you telling me you're Esau, but I know you Jacob." Now, why is it that she put the best clothing of Esau on Jacob? If he's blind, he ain't gonna see that.
The smell of it.
Oh, there you go. Now, how's his clothes gonna smell?
Back then, probably not very good.
But they didn't have time.
Outdoors.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing. They didn't have washing machines and all that stuff, so they didn't wash their clothes like we would. You know, they didn't wash them every day type thing. They some of their clothes would stink. They would be body
He
funk.
must have been really hairy to have compared to putting goat skin on the bed.
Yeah. And I'm all I'm thinking of, that skin had to be moist and still bloody. I mean, ugh. I can see him like, the cartoons where you flip a thing up, the animal skin. Oh, that little dead head with lamb head.
Well, yes, I mean, it's true. He was hairy, yeah. All right, so we're in the proceedings. Isaac's given his blessing to Jacob. So picking up in 25. Let's say 25 through 31. Anyone want that?
I'll take it. Okay. Then he said, "My son, bring me some of your game to eat, so that I may give you my blessing." Jacob brought it to him, and he ate. And he brought him some wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come here, my son, and kiss me." So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of the field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of heaven's dew, and of earth's richness, and abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you, and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mothers bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed." After Isaac finished blessing him, and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food, and brought it to his father. Then he said to him, "My father, sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing." His father said. Isaac asked him, "Who are you?" "I am your son," he answered, "your firstborn, Esau."
Okay. So now all of a sudden the tides have turned. Here's where the drama begins. Now, how do you think that Esau, how do you think Isaac and Esau feel at this moment?
Well, Esau doesn't know yet.
What's that?
Esau doesn't know yet.
Okay. Well.
Go now.
Well, he's getting ready to find out.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's tell you what. Let's go ahead and read that out. Let's go through 33 through 41. You want that?
Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came, and I blessed you. And indeed, he will be blessed." When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry, and said to his father, Bless me too, my father. But he said, Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing. Esau said, Isn't he rightly named Jacob? He had delivered me these 2 times. He had deceived me these 2 times. He took my birthright, and now he's taking my blessing. Then he asked, Haven't you reserved any blessings for me? Isaac answered Esau, I have made him lord over you, and have made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine, so what can I possibly do for you, my son? Esau said to his father, Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father. Then Esau wept aloud. His father Isaac answered him, Your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from off your neck. One more. Mine stopped there for some reason. Esau had a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, The days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob.
All right, so now all of a sudden Esau's got the vow against Jacob. So how's Esau feel?
Not pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about how many of y'all would be upset too.
Sure. You've been betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
Twice.
Yeah, twice.
But what does the word Jacob, they name people for names. I mean, for a reason. And what was Jacob? Did it have something to do with being deceitful or something?
Jacob means he deceives. The grasping of heel, but it also means he deceives. Yeah. So it's amazing how he was already named what he would be.
I mean, the Lord knew this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, God. I mean, again, the way I perceive God is like
His brother is happy to see him.
it's like, how many of y'all have DVR?
Mm-hmm.
How many of y'all have DVR? All right. If you have DVR, you know what I'm talking, like you can record live TV and all that kind of stuff. And, so what you can do is you can watch a show, whatever, you can rewind it and all that kind of stuff. Well, it's like it's almost like you can rewind all the way. You've seen the show, you rewind it all the way, start at the beginning, and you already know how the show's going to end. But yet you see all these dramatic events occurring, and you see the emotions that fly and all that kind of stuff, but you know how the story ends. It's almost kind of like how God, he's sitting up there with DVR. He's sitting up there, he's already seen the entire thing. Because again, God isn't constrained to time. So he knows future, present, and past. So he's kind of already seen the story. He knows when the world's going to end. He's already seen he's going to see, what our...
before.
Yeah, exactly. So it's amazing how he's seen all this, and he's kind of, helping orchestrate a lot of this stuff. And so, Jacob was named Jacob for a reason. He grasps with the heel, he deceives. I mean, there's a reason a lot of folks have their names.
I need to look up what your name is.
The major thing
But I
to
need
me,
to look up what his name is.
it bored me because we had the lesson about Jacob and going to Leah and Rachel a few weeks back in Sunday school, and how he was deceived by Laman, would be the father-in-law, and most of what he's done, and then he's already got this past, but that's what he did.
Exactly.
Is that he got back what he dealt out.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's quite ironic. And it's amazing how Jacob gets upset with Laban because he deceived him. Jacob thinks it's okay to deceive Esau. Sure, yeah, that's fine. So. Yeah, exactly. All right, so since we went through all that, and we kind of talked a little bit about Rachel. We kind of took a look at what maybe her life was like, at the very beginning. At the very beginning of the story that we see Rachel, inserted in the story. What were her characteristics? What was she like?
Rachel?
Rebecca. I'm sorry.
Like I said earlier, I think she was kind. Because when he came out, she gave him water and she watered his camels. I think of a dog.
For animals. Yeah, she would have been kind, gentle, compassionate, possibly. But then she was very beautiful, all that kind of stuff.
She was deceitful.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it says it in the beginning, at first.
Yeah.
Maybe take control like she did.
Yeah, that's probably true, yeah.
Her looks and her character.
All right. Now, how many of y'all would say, all right, let's say this. Any of y'all, could any of you all relate with Rebecca, maybe in her characteristics, either at the beginning or towards the end?
I would like to think that I would help help somebody if they come out and they were thirsty and needed something to drink, that I would help them.
All right. So you do compassionate?
I don't think I would be like her at the end. I mean, choosing over my children and being deceitful like that. I would hope I wouldn't.
Yeah. That's okay.
I'm sure we don't do the exact thing, but we do what we want, what we can to help our children. I mean, ain't no doubt. They get in trouble at school where we go to the teacher. Well, he had a bad night, or he didn't feel good. He tried to. I mean, not to the extreme that she went, but times
You
were
never
different.
know how they were treated either during this whole lifetime.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
she had a nose ring. I mean, she loved her hubby.
Well, and that's true. I mean, we don't know exactly the relationship Isaac had with Rebecca, their entire marriage. I mean, we just don't, because there's those gaps, there's those holes that we just don't see or aren't filled. All we're told is at the beginning of the marriage that he loved her, but does that mean that it carried through the entire marriage, or was there a point where they started to drift apart from each other? And again, we don't know. And again, all you can do is assume and insert assumptions in there. And when you start doing that, you start getting into kind of trouble on that. But
Did he have more than one wife, Isaac?
I did. I just can't remember how many.
There you go. That's it. I mean, really, she didn't have him all the time. She had her son,
Yeah.
and she had her favorite.
Well.
That's what you get when you go get in polygamous.
Exactly. Exactly right.
But maybe Isaac always favored Esau.
Yeah, he did.
Well, that was his first wife, first child.
And Jacob eventually distanced himself from his father because he was never quite.
Well, what's also amazing about that is how Jacob does the exact same thing with his children. Remember Joseph?
Jacob doesn't fall far from the
That's
truth.
exactly right. That's right. Because so the way that Jacob was treated by Isaac, Jacob does the exact same thing with Joseph, and then you see how was Joseph treated? I mean, Joseph, yeah, he was despised by his brothers, and they hated him and wanted him dead. All right. Now the only difference really was that that Joseph was a younger brother, as where Esau was the firstborn, but there was still that whole idea of favoritism, but I mean it was all modeled to Jacob basically his whole life, so it started wearing off on him, and that's how he grew up. Now in these in the verses in Genesis 24, Abram's servant tells Rebecca's family how he met her, emphasizing the Lord's blessing and involvement throughout. And then how did Rebecca's family respond when he was trying to take her away? Remember that?
Yeah.
All right. Wanted to keep her. All right. Then that whole 3 words she used. Rebecca's life she changed forever. She says, "I will go." How would you react? Or maybe God has already done this in your life, and maybe you can share that story. But how would you react if God was calling you away from home, away from family, and basically away from everything that you knew right there, and just calling you away to a distant land and foreign places? I mean, how would you feel?
Well, he does that with missionaries.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of missionaries feel that way.
But
A lot of missionaries feel that they're called.
well, the other children,
Yeah.
because it says of your brother, finish exactly the way.
They must be called, because I don't see why anyone would do it, right? They must be called. I don't see how I am. But you want to
Yeah, I mean, well, let me ask you this.
So they did
What
it.
would it
They
take
thought God,
what would it take for you to obey the calling that you have received?